Okay. So let me start. I'm Dr. Cerusi, Michael Cerusi. I'm the principal at RHAM Middle School. And I know also on this call is Miss Carrie Ann Bell.
I'm here. Hello, everybody. How we doing? Welcome. It's nice to see some of you in your living rooms and homes. Hope you've all had a nice summer, probably quiet, but hopefully nice. Get outside a little bit.
So just so you know, if you're in the right place, you're at the middle school parent meeting for RHAM Middle School. And we'll get started briefly. Just a couple of opening remarks. Tonight is meant to be sort of a Q&A. I did ask for the questions ahead of time so that I could answer them as best I can at this time. We've gotten I'd say about 15 different questions, and I've gone through and I've kept them in each of the categories that they were sent out in. So the first category would be health and safety, and then we'll talk about schedule, et cetera, et cetera. If you have questions, please feel free to type it on your top. There's a little chat box. You can type that in there, and Miss Bell will try to either answer them directly or will interrupt me and stop, and we'll ask some questions so that if you have any questions that are in common, we can answer them. If at the end of this session you don't get any of your questions answered directly, please feel free to email us, and we'll try to do that as well. Let's see. So this evening, one of the things we talked about for opening of school was the fact that a couple of weeks ago, the superintendent, Scott Leslie, announced that we were going to a full hybrid program. And many people wrote in saying, what does that mean? Friday's email. That's sort of the everything email. We included so many documents in there. I'm going to stop for a second. If you are on the call, if you could mute yourselves. I see a couple of people have their mics on so we don't hear the background noise. Appreciate that. So a couple of weeks ago, we decided to go to a hybrid model. We figured that in order to sort of start slow, it would be a lot easier to do the hybrid model, and we could get the social distancing and all the requirements in that were necessary to make it a safer environment for students and staff. So this really means that students will be in the building for 2 days a week. They'll run there'll be 4 classes on the first day and 4 classes on the second day for their 8-period day. They'll run through all the classes. While they are participating in those classes in the building, the students who are not in the building are participating virtually. So it is 5 days of instruction. And that was one of the big questions was, if my child is going to school for 2 days, do they have 3 days off? The answer is no. They're in school for 5 days, and they're working with their peers. They're just doing it virtually from home. And the teachers are being very creative about this. Some are trying to work out projects that kids can actually do together so that if they're in the building or they're home, they can collaborate on some projects. So hopefully that will go well. One of the things I do also want to mention before I continue is the key to this year is flexibility. I wrote it in the email, and one of the things is we always talk in education, we talk about we want our kids to grow, and we all want them to grow and learn as much as possible. We want them to learn what's called a growth mindset, always looking forward to building on what they know and understand right now, and to learn and add a few more things to their knowledge base and their skills. And so with that in mind, one of the things I've changed is we want them to have not just a growth mindset, but a flexible growth mindset, because flexibility is going to be key for us. We don't exactly know how things will work, and you'll hear about that more like the first week of school. We don't know how things will, settle out. It's new to us as well as the students, and it's new to all of you as parents. I have to thank you for all your support and a lot of your kind words that you sent in to us. We really do appreciate it. When Ms. Bell and I talk about our summers, I don't know about the rest of you, but our summer has been spent pretty much right here virtually online for 6-7 hours a day. We've had a couple of breaks in between, and we've sort of treasured those time off. But with the flexibility, we talk about being flexible. The issue for us is the fact that things change almost daily. We've had changes going on almost daily. And so we've had to make adjustments to our plans, make adjustments to what we can allow, what we can't allow. And we've tried to find some interesting and new ways to do things so that we can engage the kids as much as possible while they're either in school or virtually at home. The first slide I have up here is on health and safety and social distancing. Wherever possible, we're maintaining a 6-foot social distance requirement. And that's either in the hallways, in the classrooms, just about everywhere kids walk to. If you've watched the videos, you've seen the fact that the hallways are two-way hallways, but we ask all kids to stay right. And I jokingly tell my staff that what we're trying to do is, yes, they're middle schoolers, we're teaching them to drive. We all the time, when you teach a child to drive, and if some of you have done this already, I have done it with 9 kids, you tell them to stay right. So stay right. Stay in your lane. When you come to a T intersection, stop, look around, take a left or a right, but follow the directions. So we're doing the same thing with the kids in school. For some of the elementary kids, they're used to that. They're used to walking and staying on the right. The bigger part of it is also keeping an appropriate social distance and wearing the masks. Masks are not an option. The state has basically said that was one of the first things they came out with, was the mask rule was all students are required to wear masks. They basically told us they can't wear bandanas, they can't wear the neck gaiters, and they can't wear the mask with vents. They have to have a cloth mask or one of the medical masks or surgical masks that you can buy. The disposable ones are fine. If a child comes to school without one, we can provide them with one. But we would ask that they have a cloth one or something to bring with them. So we do understand if they forget. Many people have asked us, what if they refuse to wear it or they don't wear it? Unfortunately, it's student safety is involved. And so we've adopted, the first time we'll talk to kids if they're joking around or something, that happens. But if they start refusing or absolutely will not wear one, they can move to distance learning until at such a time as they would comply with being able to wear a mask in order to be in school. It's one of the key requirements for both students and even staff. In the classroom, I know one of the questions was, the desks are 6 feet apart. There will be times, and I'll talk about the mask breaks in a little bit, but there will be opportunities for breaks, and the teachers also have opportunities to go to take the students outside. We have about 7 different areas being set up with picnic tables. Thanks to the Lions Club, they are allowing us to use the picnic tables and benches this year. So we're setting up areas where classes can go to and teachers can sign out so that they can go outside. And if they're socially distanced, they can take their masks off there. I know that was a big thing. The numbers in the class, because we've divided up the alphabet, I think the maximum number in a class is probably 14 students. We can fit as many as 15 at the 6-foot distance. And if anything larger than that, we would have to move. We would have to move the class to a larger area that could accommodate that, or split the class up in a different way. Luckily, with Miss Bell and the school counselors scheduling, we've been able to tweak things here and there and make sure that that all the classes fit in their classrooms. And when I say fit, they have about an 8 to 10 foot distance in the front so that a teacher can actually teach and they don't have to wear their mask based on the state requirements. They can instruct without a mask on. And that may be a comfort level for teachers. So that was one of the areas. I know they must wear the mask in school. The mask breaks that we've set up, we've talked with teachers and staff, and I believe there's even in the parent notes, you can go look at the, let me see if I can change that here. If you look at the mask policy, pull that up. Well, it doesn't want to load for me right now. Here we go. So mask breaks outside. Teachers can give permission for students to step in the hallway to lift their masks up. With permission, they can go to a corner of a room if they need to, and during lunch while they're eating and drinking. So there are quite a few opportunities. I'm sure we'll figure out a few more. Where, you know, teachers understand it's very difficult even for them to wear a mask for 7 hours a day. So we do know that we do need to build those breaks in. And even, you know, using the bathroom as an opportunity, they can step out into the hallway to take a mask break if they need to. We are, you know, one of the things that isn't up there at the moment, but even the bathrooms, we're limiting that to 2 students per bathroom at one time. They'll have to take turns and wait. We understand this is going to be a learning curve for all the kids, and the first week of school, we're really going to go over these rules. Or I should say procedures, if you will, and we'll reinforce them with all of our kids. One of the next things that came up is, you know, we always tell students, tough it out, tough it out, tough it out. You need to go to school. In this case, the reverse is now true. You know, I used to tell my kid, you got a stomach ache, you got a headache, you're going to school. People are probably going to be super cautious. That's fine. Your child can, if your child is sick, call your child, you know, call your child out, call the attendance office, or email us. Let us know. There's a questionnaire on there, a little bit about symptoms, because we do track it. We track it for ourselves and for the health district. But keep them home. Keep him or her home, and you know what? They can participate virtually. That's fine. We're okay with that. We're telling staff too. You know, you hear all the time, and my staff are particularly, I wouldn't say annoying, but they can be annoying sometimes that they'll come to school and they're not feeling great. And I'm like, why are you here? Because, you know, they really want to see the kids. Well, safety is now first and foremost. So we're telling staff and we're telling kids, stay home. You don't feel well, stay home. You can still participate in the lessons. If you really, that's fine. You're sick, you're sick. We just ask that you call in just like any other time, or email us and let us know that your child won't be participating that day. Because we will be taking attendance on a period by period basis, as we've done in the past and has been done even in the elementary schools throughout a regular school day. The state has mandated that attendance continue to be taken. They haven't given us a waiver on that. So that was one question. The other one is, if a child, and by the way, I will send out all these slides. I'll post these slides on our website so that you can go through them. If a child tests positive for COVID, we're following state guidelines, and I won't go through them all, but they're also listed in that email I sent last Friday on the 28th. But it's addendum 5, and it gives you all the scenarios about what to do and how long. One of the questions is what happens if it happens, you know, if a staff or student in schools tests positive? I can tell you that if somebody tests positive, the closing procedure for us is that if it's a confirmed COVID-19 case in our school, we'll likely close school for 2 to 5 days and do the contact tracing that's required. We will be following the Chatham Health guidelines, either remain fully closed or that we can reopen to our hybrid model. This came directly out of the reopening plan that we submitted to the state. So just so you're aware that that's in the original plan, it hasn't changed. So basically it's 2 to 5 days out so that we can do a deeper cleaning of the building. Again, that can also be sort of iffy because we do consult with Chatham Health and what the current state requirements are for this. So it's not something that we're in charge of, so to speak. So that's closing. There were a lot of scheduling questions. I know I'll get to the first week of school in a minute, but the hybrid schedule, I think, is pretty self-explanatory at this point. I'll just review it. So Group A is in school on Monday and Tuesday. Everybody's home on Wednesday. Then Group B is in school on Thursday and Friday, and Group A is working from home. So basically, again, it's students are in school for 2 days a week. They run through their classes. The reason the schedule looks this way is because we share teachers with a high school, and we have to make certain accommodations so that we can continue to share the teachers. You know, we don't arbitrarily pick the fact that we really didn't want to confuse kids by going 1, 2, 3, and 6, 7, 8, 4, and 5. You know, we weren't trying to see if kids were awake or focused or parents, you know, could follow along our schedules. It was not our intent to do that. But when you share staff, you have to make certain compromises. And, you know, we start at 7:20. High school starts at 7:25. And one of the reasons we start at 7:20 is we don't want kids walking around in the hallway with nothing to do. There's not a lot to do when you're walking around. You know, above and beyond, they go right to first period. So we extended first period by 5 minutes. So 7:20, they'll go to their first period class. We'll do some brief announcements, and then we'll get going. So that's sort of the hybrid schedule in a nutshell. Homework, somebody asked about homework online, about are we reducing the load of homework? We will be talking with teams about the homework and the types of homework. We have in the years past moved from homework to home learning, if you will, so the kids are using it as an opportunity to either enhance their skills. Math always seems to be the big one. Math usually has like 10 or 15 problems a night to do as practice, so that they're ready to learn the next concept the next day. So we will be looking at that, and the teams do coordinate that. So they will load it on their team website weekly. You can go up and look at the assignments they have for that week, that day. They also make use of Google Classroom, and we're using a new online learning management system called Schoology as well. But overall, the team website is one of those key areas. If you're making a note to yourself, check the team website. Usually on Mondays, the teams will update their website for the homework for that week. And you can take a look at what's going on that your child has to do. Now, it does vary. Sometimes it changes because they don't get to something. But a lot of times, that's the place you would go to if you're looking for homework assignments for the week and how much. But we will try. We do understand it's very different, and we're going to ease into this. It's not going to be like hopefully, if you hear every night is 4 or 5 hours a night, then we need to have a discussion on many different levels. Our homework tends to average, it can average on some nights for a half hour. You know, the most it should be is maybe an hour and a half, depending on the types of classes students are taking and what's involved. Obviously, if your child is similar to some of my kids and they leave something to the last minute or the last 2 days and you're like, oh my God, I got to get this done, it's going to take them a little bit longer. And then, you know, that's when they start burning the midnight oil. And I've been there. Many of you are probably more organized than I am, but I've been there late at night doing projects and assignments. So I know the feeling, but, you know, my fault. So it is a time management learning skill as well that kids have to adjust to. You can probably ask any of our 8th graders how hard it was for them to adjust. It was very different for them to adjust to that homework, or I should say homework and project time management. But we're there to help you, and the school counselors are always around and can work with you virtually to help with any of those issues if you find them becoming major issues for you or your family. Let's see. So the first week of school, we're doing and this came about again. So just so you know, we're on the same schedule as the elementary school. So the first week for them is all half days. So the first week for us is all half days as well. We have extended our advisory period so we can go over some of the rules and some of the things that kids will need to know and understand as they come into RHAM for 7th graders and even for the 8th graders, what's new this year. And so every day has sort of a little bit of a theme to it. It starts off with the advisory and then runs through the different classes, their different classes. You know, we do expect all students, whether they're virtual students, totally full-time or part-time, to be attending the different sessions. So that even because you may be part-time right now, but at some point you may come back into the building. And so our first week schedule is right there. The advisory is there. Now, I will say that teams are modifying this a bit, and we hope to have the finalized schedule each team will send out to the students via email. And I know, and I'll get to the technology question too, because I know there's one there about how do I get email. So that will be coming out soon by the teams. And if we go, you can see that on Tuesdays, just to give you an idea, Tuesday, 7th grade students, last names A through K, will be in school. The rest will be virtual from home. And all 8th graders will be virtual from home. Again, on Wednesday, we have the other half of the alphabet for 7th grade students, and the other half are virtual from home. So teams will be sending out links so that the kids can participate virtually, or they'll be sending out little assignments for them to do while they're doing the same things with the other half of the alphabet in school. They're sort of flip-flopping, if you will. The expectation is that they do participate in these things. I don't need to go through the rest of the calendar, but grade 8 starts in the building on Thursday and Friday. Again, on Tuesday and Wednesday, they'll be doing things from home because we're trying to get as much in as possible during that first week in terms of procedures, rules, introductions, all that stuff that we need the kids to know when they're in the building, and also, you know, what the course is going to be like, what the classes they're taking are going to be like. Kids are already wondering, who's in my class, who's there, how will I see them? They're used to Google Classroom, they're used to logging on, a lot of them. Even at the elementary level, they used it. They use Google Classroom and Google Meets, but it gets to be very different. So, you know, eighth graders will have a different set of challenges, and 7th graders will probably have a few more challenges. And I will say, we do know the 7th graders have not seen our building. You know, unless they've seen older siblings and taken a tour with them, they have not seen the building. So we are going to try to orient them to the building in a different manner, whether it be virtually or even in person. We have talked about a couple things that we might try to do, you know, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I can mention, you know, the teams have worked out. We've talked about having them possibly give tours. So let's say all the reading classes, they take their 5 or 10 kids, they socially distance, they walk around the building so they can see the building. They will get a chance to see the whole building because of their classes, but just so they can see where everything is as well. And that's something we're talking with team leaders about this week. This is the first week we've had a chance to see all of our staff. And they've all been back. We do have some staff that are also, you may notice, your child comes to school and is working with a teacher who is working virtually as well. Just like some of our students have opted for distance learning, we do have some staff that for various reasons are also working from home, if you will, and teaching from home. In that case, we sort of flip the classroom. So they're teaching from there. We have an adult who will monitor the room while the teacher is giving instruction. So like I said, flexibility is key. It's one of those odd situations which you've never encountered that type of thing before, unless you've taken some college classes and you've taken a whole virtual class online. That may be the only instance where that's happened. I'm going to throw up, this is a sample document of the first week of school. I probably will not share this out in the final version. I will share the slides, but probably not this because it's not done yet. But just so you can see what we're planning. So on Tuesday, 9/8, You'll notice Inquiry has a roadshow. They're going to put up the PowerPoint to the roadshow that they're going to use during advisory. They're going over safety rules, protocols, nurse introduction, guidance, logistics, all those things, dismissal procedure, and questions. So they have some things that they're going to be doing for their advisory classes, and this is all before they head out to their regular classes with their teachers. So the advisory link will be up there, and kids will be working with the inquiry team, 7th grade. I'm sorry, this is 7th grade and inquiry team will be working on these things on that Tuesday. 8th grade will have introductions in their advisory period, team expectations, again, logistics. 8th grade green team, introductions. They'll meet with support staff and myself, sort of the first meeting of the year with administration and school counselors, just so they know who we are and who works with their team. So this is sort of the first week of school schedule. So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, the introductions again before they go off to their quick 30-minute or 20-minute classes. They'll review emergency procedures, student agenda books for 7th grade, virtual meet with the administrators on purple team, and green team is doing a town meeting. And then they'll go over logistics. So we are trying as much as possible to use the advisory to get in all those things, all those processes and health and safety rules that we need to make sure that going forward that the kids have a good understanding of. That's what the advisory periods are being used for, along with some of the logistics of, how do I get lunch? Where do I go if I need help? Those types of things. So that's sort of the first week, just to give you an idea of the schedule. And it is, I can say it's not totally packed full. There might be some, obviously we're going to have time. If you look at the times, they're going to go to the different classes. And so they'll meet with all their teachers each day. It really is only about 20 minutes, 21 minutes. So they're quick classes, but they're going to do hopefully some fun activities and a little bit of what we call team building. Some of you may have noticed, and I think I'm maybe jumping too far. Yeah, I'm jumping too far ahead, so I'll wait for that. I'll mention it. Some of you may have noticed that in the one of the team handouts, it talked about bringing lunch on the first day. There is no lunch on the first day of school. There's no lunch that whole week. And the reason your team letter said that is in the past, we've had team day for 7th graders, and they all brought their own lunch. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that. This year, we're doing more of a virtual team day, if you will, and then try to do some activities online so that the kids get to know their classmates, whether they're in the building or virtual. So that's where that whole notion of bring a lunch to school on the first day. They don't need to bring a lunch. Okay. Ms. Bell, do I have any questions out there that we may need answering, or?
No, I think we're doing good with emailing, but I do want to, Ms. Oil Pike brought up a link from, I think, our distance learning from the spring is somewhere, maybe on our website. So I know there's some confusion with, and I'm glad you brought this up because we will update it. So I think we just got to make sure any of our spring schedules are out. Because no, we don't start at 9:30. That was our spring time. So we will make sure that we update. Yeah. We'll go through our website and just double check and make sure we update that. So thank you for bringing that up. But I think I answered just about everything else. I think parents are able to see it. Like I said, the nurses did send out an email last week with a lot of information. So make sure you do check that. If you don't have it, you could also email Caitlin Moore. She can resend it. But I know that had a lot of just nurse procedures, what happens if something happens in school, all that was sent out last week. That was something asked. And then
if you received the blue form, from the nurse's office, please make sure to fill it out and get it back ASAP. One of the reasons is we are required to have all the vaccines up to date and on record. It's just one of those things that we need to have. If we don't have it, we are supposed to exclude the student from school. So just so you're aware, we need those medical forms as soon as possible, as soon as you get them. I know it's difficult. Sometimes the doctors are backed up and things. If you let us know that it's at the doctor's office or, it's in process, that's great. Just keep Caitlin Morris, our school nurse, informed.
I think the only thing that came up just to make sure is clear with parents about attendance. Kids are considered present, whether they're in the classroom or at home in the class. So it doesn't matter whether they're at home because they're distance learning fully, if they're at home because they just felt a little under the weather that day and you kept them home, as long as they're present for class, and teachers will take attendance for both the kids sitting in the classroom and the kids at home, they will be considered present. Just want to make sure. I'll keep answering questions.
The medical forms, are the medical forms needed for distance learning? The answer is yes. In order to be registered in the district, we do require them because at some point we do hope that they come back to school. The next set of questions came about our traffic pattern. We have I wouldn't say it's new, but it's modified. And let me put up. So this is this is the foot traffic pattern. I even got the wrong one up here. Let me see if I can get my. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so our main entrance is RHAM Road. If you come in off RHAM Road and you take the first right, you see the red arrows, they go around. This is the student drop-off loop that you can enter. It's the new road that was just built over the summer with the construction project, and it brings you take a left, and you'll drop off in front of the middle school. We are going to have cones out here to guide you so that you drop off between the cones. So the first set of cones will be up here in the green, which is just in front, past the crosswalk in front of the building. And behind the crosswalk will be a second set of cones. So we'll have drop-off area there. We ask that you not drop off all along this whole area, which is the front of the school, so that because we have a tendency of having cars pull out, they drop off and pull out and then go past the folks that are still dropping off on the side here. And it gets to be a mess. We have staff coming up from the bottom parking lot as well. This parking lot is staff only. It is blocked off, and only staff can enter it through one entrance off of RHAM Road.
So Michael,
yes.
I'm sorry, can you share, I think they're not able to click on the link. Can you share the map or present the map so parents can see?
You can't see it?
Oh, no, I didn't know if you knew that. Sorry. And that's what they were asking me. I think we will.
Oh, you can't see the map. Okay, well, that's not good. I had it up. It says I'm sharing. So,
yeah, we see
the. Here we go.
There you go. We can see it now. We got it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Nope.
That's okay.
Nope,
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep. So right here is RHAM Road down here. You're gonna follow it up and around. You'll drop off here between the green arrows. And if you're back here, you just sit and wait. At the end of the day, the reverse is true. Pickup is right here. You'll just sit and wait for your child to come out the front door. You'll pick them up, and then you'll come down to the stop sign. You have to take a left. Buses can only go to the right. Only buses to the right. You need to be careful that the buses are coming up at the same time. So it is just a loop. If you're coming from Wall Street, you just come straight down, and you come straight down into the drop-off area off of Wall Street. Now, for students, and I'm going down a little bit lower here, there's also, the buses are up here by the high school. They're going to walk around to the front of the building, and we're going to have people posted to guide them. So we'll have some staff will be up in front of the building. They're going to guide our middle school students who are going to walk in through the central office entrance. The big sign says central office. They go in those doors and they walk straight down the hallway to the middle school. So that's sort of a one-way. Now over here is the high school pickup and drop off. So if you have a high school and middle school student, I would recommend that you drop them off in one spot, and that's right there at the high school drop off. They go in through the doors right there, and they walk straight down the hallway. The same is true at the end of the day. If you want to pick them up, you can pick them up there. You're welcome to pick up, your middle schooler down here as well. And we have had high school students who will walk down. Well, they don't think it's too cool to walk down to the middle school to get picked up. They do come down anyway. And they will come down and wait outside. So that's fine. Where did I? So here's the parent loop at the high school. It comes in off of Wall Street and loops back onto. Wanted to do 2 runs, you could drop child off high school, take a right, take another right, come down through the middle school, go out, and then go out RHAM Road. So, it is up to you if you want to make 2 or 1. I would recommend dropping off at the high school both students. They will see other middle school students coming in through the top entrance there anyway and walking down towards their team pods. So that is the traffic pattern. I think I mentioned all that. Middle school, drop off in front of the middle school. So I think we hit everything. It will take some getting used to, but most of our students don't seem to get lost. The fact that we divided up the middle school and high school, the high school students who get off the bus go straight into the school on the doors right there through their main entrance, while our students will go around. This way we're keeping the numbers lower, and so that they're not all mixing together. We do realize it presents a challenge no matter how we try this. No matter how we're going to divide the kids up on which way to go into the building, it presented a challenge either way in terms of numbers. We obviously know we don't want 50 to 100 kids all rushing in at once. We know that about 60% of parents are driving their kids to school at some point or intend to drive their kids to school. So the main drop-off area in front is going to be busy, and we'll have staff there as well. One thing I should note, and I'm going to put a sort of a plug in for Whitson's, is they will be offering a grab-and-go breakfast under a tent right off the bus if kids want to grab it and eat it on the way in. Or they can also purchase a breakfast coming in from the parent drop-off. Well, there'll be a table right there where they can grab something to eat real quick as well. So we do know that parents are in a rush, and sometimes you just can't, you forget breakfast, or the kids forget breakfast, or they don't want to eat at home. It's more exciting to get something at school. So they are offering a grab-and-go breakfast. I can also tell you that our front doors will not open till 7. So please, I don't want kids waiting out there at 6:45, 6:50. 7 o'clock is the earliest they're going to get in. We are keeping the doors locked. Part of it is for security reasons, and part of it is staff. My staff start at 7 o'clock to man each of their different areas. And so it's hard enough to get up early. And sometimes I don't know how kids do it, because we've had kids there at like 6:35, 6:40. But we're trying to make a clear set rule that 7 a.m. is when we'll open the doors. So please, before then, if you got to sit in your car for a few minutes, just sit there, let them sit and relax a little bit before they go into the school. Okay. Traffic. Technology is a big one, especially for 7th graders starting tomorrow, A through K, and then on Wednesday, L through Z, 7th graders can pick up their Chromebooks. We're trying to find out, I know there are some 8th graders out there who need Chromebooks as well, and we're trying to get a list of those students as well. And hopefully, we'll have you either pick up on the 2nd, or we have another pickup for distance learning students on Friday, the 4th. So we will get you your Chromebook ahead of time. Along with the Chromebook are a set of directions for 7th graders on how to get into their email, because email is all important. They really need to go on there, look at their teachers are now inviting them to their what's called their Google Classrooms, so that they can get the links to the Google meetings that they'll need for virtual learning on the days they're not there, or if they're full-time virtual, they'll get the links that they can go into and participate in the activities. So distance learning can pick up their Chromebooks on the 1st or 2nd, like everybody else. If they need to, if they can't do it in those 2 days, you are coming in on Friday to pick up textbooks and any ancillary materials that you might need. Being at home, you can arrange, just let us know, we can arrange to have you pick up your Chromebook then, or your child's Chromebook then. So I already meant, whoops, I went too fast. Teams will send out the links via email to all students by Friday for their virtual meetings next week. If you have a connectivity problem in your home and you need some help, give our help desk a call. It could be Comcast or Frontier. You know, it may be your internet speed. We don't know. But if there's something we can do to support you, give our IT folks and send them an email, and we'll see what we can do from our end. If you're having a problem with your Chromebook, a lot of times the teachers can help log in. They can walk you through it. They can arrange a Google Meet, or even your school counselor can help. If they can't resolve that, then because sometimes the Chromebooks, for whatever reason, a battery or even a key may not work right or something, just email our help desk at helpdesk@RHAM Schools, and somebody will contact you about it. And there's another, if you need on-site assistance, please call then and we'll set up a time for you to come visit the school. That's if you're doing all virtual. We do have hours, and we will make arrangements to work with you to come to school so that you can meet with one of our IT folks. Lunch. So one of the things we did this year, and we've had discussions about it in previous years, is partly because of COVID and because of some safety issues, we have quite a few students that have high allergies to nuts and tree nuts. And so we made the decision that we would be a nut-free school at both schools, because we want to ensure the safety, not just, for all of our students. We understand there have been a lot of discussion about this, or there's been a little bit of discussion about, why. I came from another district where we actually, it became a huge, I should say, made the newspapers at one time, but it became a huge argument about why can't we do this. I used to call it the cupcake wars, because it was at elementary schools, and why couldn't we bring cupcakes to school and things like that. And part of it is cross-contamination. As much as I would hope that kids wipe things down the best they can, I don't want anybody to have an allergic reaction when we can prevent it. This is one of those preventables. So we have gone to a nut-free school overall, and that's for students and staff. So hopefully that's, you won't hear more about it. I know that people are now looking for nut-free alternatives, and they're finding some very interesting things. Lunch will take place in the advisory classroom. If you remember on the schedule, and I won't pull it back up, but there's an advisory period. During that period, your child will go to their advisory class. They'll be able to take their mask off, and they can eat their lunch that they brought to school with them. Or Whitson's, our food service company, will bring down carts to the middle school, and they're going to set up 3 to 4 locations near each of the team pods. And we are going to work through a process where we can distribute meals. I joke about this, but unfortunately, I show my age when I talk about the Hungry Man TV dinner. I hear they still make them, but if you remember TV dinners from way back, they do have some types of TV dinners, hot dinners or hot lunches, if you will, prepackaged that they are distributing. I've been told they're actually making about, I want to say, close to 200 to 300,000 meals they've been producing across the country. Whitson's has, to help feed students during COVID. So they have a system, and they've learned how to feed like whole schools at once. And I'm not sure how, I'll be honest, I'm not sure how this is going to work, because we are feeding around 1,200 students all at once, literally, both middle and high school. So they've worked out some serving stations, and the good thing is I can tell you that most students eat their lunch in 5 to 10 minutes. So they'll have plenty of time. But they'll have time to eat, and they'll have time to sit there and take a break, and the teachers will be taking a break as well. And so hopefully that'll work out. There are, like I said, there are a lot of kinks in this plan. Flexibility is going to be key. I'm hoping if in the ideal world, everything comes together just right. All the lessons happen on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no technology glitches. The following week, lunch goes. There are no glitches there either. Everything goes perfectly. People drop off, pick up, and everything is seamless. I can be an eternal optimist, but I can tell you that there will come up with some issues. I'm sure we'll have something will happen at some point. So just keep that in mind. We're going to do the best we can, and we're going to try to make this happen and work out well for all the kids. One of the other things is we are asking, you can go on the RHAM Middle School website. There's a food service link under the Parents tab, and My School Bucks is where you would load via credit card. You would load money for your students to pay for lunch. You can put an amount on your child's lunch account there. Students do need to know their student ID number. Top left-hand corner of that schedule is that student ID number. Whatever they bring to school on those days for lunches, make sure they have that ID number. You know, if they have a binder, have them write it in a binder on a piece of tape and tape it to the inside of the binder. Whatever works. They need their ID number. That'll be key. If you have questions about lunches or things like that, Kathleen Caselli is our new food service manager for the district for Whitson's, and that is her number and extension. Again, I already talked about the lunches the first day. Lunch will begin the week of September 14th. So the first day back, the 14th, we will have, the students will be able to purchase lunch. Okay. Buses. Another thing that we and I'm going to say this, another thing is you can find the buses on our middle school website. You can either go on the main page of the parent drop menu or right on the main page, right in the middle, it says buses. You can click on that and you should be able to find your bus route. I sent more detailed directions in the parent letter because we did find people were going, let's say you live on, I don't know, Wall Street. Instead of spelling out street, it's ST. You may not know that. You may say Wall Street and it says no address found. So you have to use abbreviations in some cases. And so when you try those, you'll find it. Sometimes it'll come up with a list and you have to click on the arrow so you can look at all the streets. It may not drop off right at your house. So it might be a street near you. So you have to look at those as well. So that's with the buses. All students who are attending school have an active bus route. Unless you told us that you're driving to school specifically and you said you're not using the bus at all, we may have to reactivate it if you need it reactivated. But other than that, students who are attending during the hybrid sessions all have a bus route or have an active bus route, and they should make the stop. We will have staff outside, as you saw from the videos that I released. We'll have staff outside who will show the kids which way down into the building from the bus stop at the top of the high school down to the middle school, and the reverse as well at the end of the day. There'll be plenty of people around. So we've had a couple of questions about social emotional needs. And one of the focus last year was on social emotional learning before COVID, and it became more apparent, and it even became more apparent to the State Department of Ed that this needs to be a focus of all schools as they're opening up. We have kids who are anxious. We have students who have never seen our building. We have parents, all of you who are trusting us with your children, and for the first time, we haven't even met in person. And I realize that. And it's tough. Having sent my own child off to college and I was told, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't go see buildings and you can't go see things. It's hard. So, you're trusting us with your children, and we understand that. And we understand that it's a great weight on us because in many ways, we want things to work out perfectly. So we want you to know if things aren't working out perfectly, you need to let us know. The school counselors for your kids are fantastic. They are there to support you 100%. And I mean 100% is they're there. If you want to have a virtual meeting or just a phone call, just let them know. They can talk you through things, or they can give you some suggestions if you need some help. Whether you're virtual or in person, they will meet whatever way is needed to help your child. And sometimes even help you as well. I mean, I understand, this is a tough situation. And so we're there to support. So social emotional learning for us is going to be something that we look at daily, or I should say social emotional issues we'll review daily. We meet as teams on a regular basis. Actually, every day we have a team meeting. In some cases every other day because of the schedule, we have team meetings. And we talk about students and ways that we can help them. The focus that the state has put on us for social, emotional, and mental health issues is that they've actually asked that teacher goals be tied to that. And so they are this year. We have always had goals around social, emotional learning and social, emotional health for our staff and for the school as a whole. And this year is going to be one of those years that we're really going to focus on it. And part of this is building those relationships. Now we're on, this is sort of one step. I can see on my screen that I have 55 people out there, and I'd love to meet all 55 of you in person at some point. It'd be a lot of fun. And I'm sure we could find a lot of things to talk about. I enjoy meeting with the kids as well. Unfortunately, I can't do it in a normal manner, so I'm going to have to do some of it virtually, and some of it I'll have to, greet them as they walk past me, and we just wave hello. But we all understand that the biggest thing we can do is to build relationships, whether they be virtual or in person. We need to build those relationships because that impacts kids tremendously in terms of how well they achieve in school. Sometimes, we do have kids, it is a problem. They may not feel like they're making connections. And so we need to show them that they are, or we need to show them how to make those connections. It is a skill. It's not just something, for some of us, it comes easy. For others, it's like pulling teeth. I mean, many of us probably can name a friend or two who just, they don't want to be around people. We get it. But, it's a skill. How do we collaborate? It's hard to collaborate when you're in school and online. But how do we do that? And some of those questions we're trying to answer ourselves as we develop lessons for this. But guidance, our school counseling department, will be doing lessons with students in classes. And, we have social workers and our school psychologists on staff ready to help kids who need that kind of help. And sometimes maybe it's just a consult, just like, can you just touch base with my child? They're having a really tough day. And we do that as well. And I can say that, Carrie Ann and I, Ms. Bella and I, we don't mind doing that at all. Matter of fact, part of the reward of our job is sometimes we get to see kids who struggle and kids who are very successful at what they do. And we like to talk to them all. Most of the time they like to talk to us, unless they're in trouble. It's really hard to get virtually in trouble, literally in so many ways. But you never know. But, it's fun to have a conversation with kids. They see us, they all look at us as adults, but we all come with our own backgrounds and even our own issues at times. And we understand that kids do too. And so we are there for them. And, and at times the kids are there for us. They make you smile. They do some goofy things and we do some goofy things and we all have a good laugh. I can relate. Once to his virtual meet, or maybe it was Batman costume, one or the other. But, he was a superhero to his kids that day. They loved it. It broke up the tension of being at home, but it also shows, we have a sense of humor. And sometimes, your home office can be a lot of fun. And now some kids will have a home office this year for at least a little while. Getting back to questions. So social emotional needs of students. We will, anything you need, if what we can do, we will try to help. Distance learning full-time. Somebody asked about bathroom breaks. If you need a bathroom break, you take a bathroom break. So if students are in school, we're trying to limit the numbers that go out at once, and we're only allowing, for the hybrid, those that are in the building, we usually have, let's say, one student per class go out. They may have to wait at the bathroom door to get in because there's 2 others inside, but they can use the bathroom during school time too. Each team pod does have a bathroom associated with it. Somebody also asked about walk-arounds for 7th graders, and while we really wanted to do that this year, we were told we couldn't. And so what we've done instead is we're trying to ask teams to hopefully we can do this. We haven't worked out all the details yet, is to take a quick tour of the building. A lot of our classes on those 2 days, as you know, are in half. So there's only, let's say, 7 or 8 kids. They could go in, let's say, their reading class or their math class. They could all take a tour of the building and see what the building looks like that way. So that, although not ideal, that's something that we've talked about doing this coming week. Or I should say next week. Those are all the questions. Plus, I added a lot in there. And you guys actually got to hear me talk for an entire hour, which is really weird for me. I'm just going to tell you that now. But I felt like we needed this meeting to make sure that your questions got answered. So
the only question, Michael, that well, one, I'll make sure to just reiterate, make sure parents saw, was I know some parents are worried about the backpacks being really heavy and carrying books around every day. Do not have lockers.
Right.
Teachers will most likely give books out that first week or the first coming weeks. But a lot of them will probably tell them to keep a lot of those books at home. So I don't think they're going to be carrying around, 8 large algebra books every day in their backpacks. There may be some of the smaller, I know, like the science workbooks, somebody that had kids in here before, they're like, thin little workbooks. Those they might have to, I think some of the bigger algebra books and stuff, they'll probably just tell them to keep at home more for a reference when they're home.
Most of the math classes have online textbooks.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and so we've even advised teachers of the fact that we don't want kids carrying books back and forth.
Yeah. The only question I didn't answer, because I didn't want to answer it wrong, and I know we've talked as admin about this, and didn't want to give the wrong information, was basically how long will we do the hybrid plan? Like, how long is it in place for? Like, what do we use for criteria to possibly go to full attendance, or I guess out the other way? How often will that be addressed? It's the only one I didn't address in the Google thing.
So, in speaking with the superintendent, and I know he's on here somewhere, probably lurking in the background, but we have discussed this as administrators, and we're constantly reviewing it. Personally, I'm going to tell you, probably by the end of the first quarter, we would look at where we are. I see us going at least until, let's say the end of October. We will constantly review. We have to work with Chatham Health. If all things go well, then that decision will be revisited. So I'll throw that out there right now. Probably by the first quarter, we'll do a quarter review. And then, if things do switch up, how they switch up, that's a whole new logistics thing that we'll have to talk through ourselves as well. But we have had discussions, when do we go to full in person? When do we do this? And right now, well, quote unquote, the health metrics look good. The concern is as you can see, is as you move into going back to school, we've seen in some other states where they've gone back and all of a sudden they're shutting down. We're hoping to avoid that. So we're going to take it a little slow, and we're being very cautious. We feel like the more we can keep kids engaged and in school, great. We have a wonderful plan. I shouldn't say wonderful. We have a really, really good plan for if we have to go all virtual or if we maintain hybrid. I think it's a decent plan from what I've seen from other schools as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Really, it's based on it, with the elementary schools as well, about what they're doing, because I know some of the elementary schools are going back full time, some hybrid.
There's two questions. Just I figured I'd answer them verbally since trying to write this all out.
Go ahead.
Will kids have the video enabled for the entire class period? I'm not sure. This is Mr. Stromberg. I'm not sure if you're asking for kids in the class or outside the class. I think for the most part, teachers are going to try to teach live. So if they are at home, I believe, yes, they may be expected to be on the video, watching and being a part of the class, just like they would in the classroom, watching. They can see that you're engaged. The teacher wants to see if you have a question. So yes, I believe that they will have their videos enabled for the class period, just so the teachers can check on them, look at them, see them. Again, they may try to do things with pairing them up with a kid in the class. There's going to be different things that they're going to try. We have a lot of new different ways. We're learning a lot of great things this week. So yes, I would say that's probably a yes. For the entire class period, and the classes will vary. It's again a learning curve for all of us. Mrs. Kampanik, I know you asked. Okay, so there are a few classes in the schedule which are probably band, chorus, 8th grade world language on inquiry, genius period for inquiry 8th graders, and intervention lab for band and chorus, which have only specific days like BD. All that means is most of your kids' schedules will say period 1, A through E, and that just means A is Monday, B is Tuesday, C is Wednesday, D is Thursday, E is Friday. So most classes go Monday through Friday. They're Monday through Friday, every day, same period. Band works twice a week. Genius period for 8th grade works twice a week because they go opposite world language. So those specific classes I have put in the schedule, and I had to redo them because with the new hybrid. Band and chorus is going to meet Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Yes, I think I have that correct. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So B would just mean Tuesday, D would mean Thursday. I'm not sure. And Ms. Kampanik, if your child has band or chorus, that may have been updated now in Parent Portal, because originally, don't quote me, but one was Monday, Wednesday, one was Tuesday, Thursday. But now with the new schedule, I've redesigned or redid them all in Power School after kids got their schedules, that they now say Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, because that's when they'll go. And they'll have intervention lab part of that time. Band and chorus teachers will go over that because I don't want to confuse people anymore. It's a little bit funky in that way. So I hope that makes sense. Yes, please check Parent Portal. I'm sure it's a band and chorus kid. I think your child is band or chorus. I think that's what it's from. So those are only those specific classes. So you can probably disregard the letters. It's a me scheduling thing. Perfect. Perfect.
Are there any other questions, last minute questions? I know I'm going over here. Are kids going to do gym class, music, and art? As best as we can, those kids will participate in those classes. Yep.
Yep.
Gym may look a little different for somebody who's doing all virtual, but we are expecting them to participate in some of the activities.
Yeah, music has some online programs they will use. I know the art, they might be able to get supplies and do things at home. PE class, it might be like the spring where they ask them to do and log, like they have the log activity and stuff. So they will go over what that looks like for the distance learners.
The question I had is because Zoe, our daughter, actually had written assignments and papers due from gym class. Elementary school, which ended up taking a lot of time to do. And I thought that was kind of ridiculous. You don't normally get written assignments from gym class, library, music, and that just added to the amount of written work she had to do at home.
I would think like they did the spring with the kids when we were all out, is they did more like activity logs with them. Like some kids downloaded, for example, a Map My Run app, and they would go bike a mile or run a mile, and then show, or even parents signed off. Yes, I saw them outside running around the house for 20 minutes, whatever it was. I know the PE classes do some teaching about their bodies and health and heart disease and things like that, but I wouldn't say they're going to write paper upon paper upon paper while the kids
She actually had written assignments from the library.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll be different. They'll go over that,
Yeah.
but I think it'll just be that they ask them to either do activity on their own, making sure that they're, being active during that time while they're home. They'll go over that, but I don't think, it won't be the kids at home have to do written papers while the kids in school are doing activity, if that helps answer your question or at least ease your mind a little bit.
Yeah, no, I just didn't want to see an added hours worth of written assignments for classes that normally wouldn't have.
Nope. They just might ask them to be physically active in some way, just like they would be in their classes.
Okay, thank you.
There's a couple more. 8th grade start. So next week they actually start on Tuesday. 8th grade will be virtual Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, they will get emails from their team, tell them to check their emails by Friday. They will be doing virtual things in advisory. I know one of the days, like purple's one day, green's the other, that they will meet with admin during advisory and the school counselors, kind of a welcome back thing. And they will go through their classes virtually on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, meet their teachers. It's a lot of next week. It's not academic. Next week's a lot of let's get on. We're going to have kinks. We're going to have bugs like you couldn't see the map. Like there's things that are going to happen, and that's the week to do it. And there may be more as we go on. But I think a lot of next week is just get to know the kids, see who their teacher is, might go over the class a little bit. But all students start next Tuesday, whether it's home or at school.
Right. And for band instruments, if you're bringing band instruments, or what was it? I think the question was, when do they need to bring their instruments? The teachers, Miss Verastro will let you know. She'll email parents about the band format for this year and when they should bring their instruments. And I'm gonna guess, but I will ask her tomorrow to do that sometime this week as well, by the end of the week. So you'll have that. What email address are teachers using to communicate?
Their RHAM Schools email. Yeah, when you pick up the 7th grade Chromebooks, every child will have a rhamschools.org email. I know someone asked if it was the same as elementary. Nope. And the email they get in 7th grade will be theirs through 12th grade. So it's like a RAM email all the way through high school. And, as some of you are probably first-time 7th grade parents, welcome. And, I think a lot of what these kids learn, and our 8th graders probably learn very fast doing this, out of school distance learning, is we do teach and advocate for themselves and use their email and ask teachers for help, having the kids do that versus the parents. Not that you guys can't email teachers and ask what's going on as well, but a lot of it's trying to teach the children to advocate for themselves this year. So they will have their own email, and they learn pretty quickly and allow them probably feel more comfortable, to be honest, asking questions sometimes via email than maybe going up to the teacher in class. So they do get used to that pretty quickly. It's something we'll help them with.
So I want to thank everyone for participating in our meeting. It's nice to see so many names up on my screen, and I think we really appreciate that you showed up on a Monday night. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to email us. I will probably take the recording offline, and I will have our IT folks put it up on our website. I hope this was helpful. I see a couple of comments. You're welcome to everyone who said thank you. I thank you all for coming tonight, and have a good evening. Look forward to seeing your kids, whether it's virtual or in person. Should be a lot of fun.
We're excited to see everybody next week. Yeah. Can't wait.
You all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
All right.